Are we good?
You're good, Mr. Snow. Have a good meeting.
Thanks, Seth. Have a nice night. Good evening and welcome to the June 17th Scituate Conservation Commission meeting. Just a couple quick things to read. This meeting's being held virtual as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You're hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Scituate in accordance with the open meeting law. And the second piece of this is town of Scituate's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Scituate Conservation Commission is committed to providing an environment of respect during meetings. We ask all members to interact in a polite manner, even when there's disagreement. And we value the participation of our community and want all participants, including marginalized and minoritized communities, to feel welcome and respected. We ask our committee members and all who participate to commit to these standards and support and respect our community. Thank you. So with that being said, do we have any additions or changes to our agenda?
I'll just give a quick update at the end, Frank.
Okay, that would be helpful.
Okay.
And so
No one else?
I don't think I have. Jen, is there anything else we want to?
I might have a couple other minor modifications to add if we have time. And another enforcement location to add to the list.
The long list.
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
so
Go ahead, Penny.
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as written with the add-ons from Jen and me.
Thank you. Well, that's Penny's motion. And I'm sorry, who do we have on tonight from members?
We have Doug, Penny, Brendan, and you.
Here's 4.
Okay, so that was a motion from Penny. Do we have a second?
I will second that.
From Brendan, all in favor? Doug?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. And appreciate, I know Brendan had to race back for this meeting, and appreciate Doug and Penny.
He's still in New York.
Jumping in. Oh, good. So with that said, we have Mass DOT 3A. Do we have somebody on for that?
We don't. They are continuing to July 1.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to continue Mass dot 3A improvement to July 1st.
That's from Penny. Second.
I'll second it.
From Doug. All in favor? Brendan?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Great. So then 347 Central Ave. Got to open this on 6/17/24 at 6 p.m. Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws to amend the order of conditions issued under DEP file number 68-3038 regarding the application of Peter and Elizabeth Blanchard for work related to raising and rebuilding an existing single-family dwelling at location 347 Central Ave, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the meeting is available on the agenda on the website. And we have who for that?
We have James Garfield. Yep, here he is.
Sorry about
great.
that. James Garfield with Morse Engineering. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, James.
Just to give you a quick breakdown on this one. So for the record, James Garfield, Morse Engineering, representing the applicant. This is a request to amend an order of conditions for a raise and rebuild of a single family home. The order of conditions was issued in February of 2023. It was a raise and rebuild within the 100-foot buffer to a salt marsh, 200-foot riverfront area to the South River, and FEMA flood zone AE elevation 15. At this time, most of that approved site work has been completed, but the applicant slash owner would like to propose a parking area for the benefit of this property. Currently, there is no parking on site for this house. The owners are forced to park within the pavement of the right of way, being Central Avenue. And this area is fairly narrow. There's not much room to turn around for them. And they're actually the last house right before the gated portion of Fourth Cliff. And so what we're proposing is a 20 by 20 pervious gravel parking area for access and safety purposes. This paved street, just for reference, is approximately 4 feet higher in elevation than the ground surface around the building. And so that being said, we did have to propose a retaining wall around this proposed parking area. The retaining wall is 3.9 feet high, so just under 4 feet. And we proposed that, I guess, for 2 reasons. One, to minimize the disturbance of this parking area. In theory, we could grade it out, but it would be a larger disturbance area and require more fill. We're also designing it in this way because the direct abutter has pretty much this exact type of parking area. They have, I believe there's a shell driveway right off the pavement and a retaining wall holding it, keeping it up just for the same exact reason that there's a steep drop off onto their property as well. So that being said, this proposed change won't alter the previously approved limit of work and is within a previously disturbed area. It's on the opposite side of the house from the South River, and we believe these changes to be minor and don't believe them to have a negative impact on these wetland resource areas. So with that, I'll turn it back to the commission for questions.
Okay, thank you, James. Jen?
I was just going to agree that the neighbor does also have a retaining wall for their parking area. That's all I have right now.
Okay. Penny?
Yeah, but when was that retaining wall put in for the neighbor, Jen?
That's a good question. I will
See,
look.
it could have been a million years ago. I do have another question. It looks like the proposed gravel parking area is how many feet from the house, James?
Just looking at it, I mean, roughly
Okay.
3 to 5 feet, I would say.
So I really don't understand why you need the retaining wall. I mean, it isn't as though it's 20 feet away and a big slope. I'm confused, I guess.
It is just based on the slope. I could give you a number, but I don't have it in front of me at the moment. It is a pretty steep drop off from the street down towards where the house is. And, typical parking spaces, roughly 20 feet deep. And that's what we've proposed here. So, for the car to sit in a flat area, you're either going to have to, like I said, bring that wall in, or you'd have to grade it off on the back side, which would just be that much larger of a disturbance, that much more fill to be brought in.
It's just a few feet though. Well, oh, okay. Say we said okay to the proposed parking, so when the cars pull in, there's a retaining wall there. Why do you need it on the uphill side there? It's like an L you've made with retaining wall.
Right. Are you saying
You know what,
that-
Penny, just not
I'm
to
just curious.
interject, but maybe I should have tossed this one to Doug first, because he could look at these grades.
All
And
right.
see if that made sense.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Why don't we move it to Doug next, if you don't mind? And
No, I
Sure.
don't at all.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, all right. So actually, I was trying to pull it up on my computer. I can't zoom up in there, but the existing grade on the Central Ave is like about 14 and a half feet.
Yeah.
And the grade at the house down at the house is only like
Yeah.
10. So there's a
Yeah.
4.5 foot drop.
Yeah.
And if you're able to look online, you can see how it slopes down to the house. So you would have to try to park a car like at that slope. It makes more sense to elevate it so you have a flat parking spot, because otherwise when it's, if you could drive the house into the side of the car pretty easily. I mean, the car into the side of the house. Probably not driving the house much.
Right.
Probably the car. So and if you you look at the neighbors, there's I don't know, it looks, James, is that like a wooden retaining wall kind of?
Yeah, I think theirs
Railroad
is
type
almost
thing.
like railroad ties, it looked like.
Yeah, stacked up, and then they fill that with gravel and shell or something like that. So he would do something similar to that. So I don't, if you're going to have parking there, you're either going to park on the street or you're going to do something like this. I don't think there's a lot of other option. My only, I really don't have a problem with it myself. This isn't going to do anything that restricts the water any more than the house that's right there.
House is
In
up
my
on
in my mind.
islands, I think.
Well, because the renovation part is, yeah. So if he was to, like James pointed out, if you were to grade that out, then you're going to bring in a lot more fill to put up under the
Yeah,
house.
and it would,
Um,
yeah, you'd have to bring fill in. It would look weird because you'd have to bring it in around the pilings that are there with the elevated house.
Right. My only question about it is really kind of like I don't know if it's a procedural, legal kind of question, but most of the work that he's proposing here is actually in the right of way. That's a public right of way.
Mm.
Like
Is that
how,
right, James?
Yeah, that's correct. But I will
How-
note, I mean, almost all projects that we do, I mean, there is a portion of every driveway that has to extend over the right of way to access the paved street.
True, very, very true. But there's the retaining wall is going to be in there too. I don't have a problem with it. Like we're from a conservation perspective, I was just wondering if, like, is that okay with DPW to be constructing anything in the right of way? My guess is like up and down the street is probably like that all over the place in Humrock. Too bad Rich isn't here to
Yeah.
shed the light on that. But
My question was the yell going out into the street, not so much the retaining wall in front of the house. Why does it have to shoot back, Doug? I mean, your elevation is, not that different on the side there, on the uphill side.
yeah, you might be able to knock off maybe a couple feet, but it's starting at elevation 14, so you pick up grade pretty quickly. So you could continue to grade for a little while, but pretty soon you're not going to hold that slope without really widening it towards the kind of the northwest, along the property line there. Just because
Right.
you just can't grade it out steeper than like a 2-to-1 slope or something like that is about. And so they're not very much within the street will be exposed. It'll be pretty much at ground level to start with, and then you'll see about a foot of it and then 2 feet of it right at the property line, something like that.
But like you
Um,
said, it's town property. I think he needs to get permission before we say it's okay. Aren't we overstepping our bounds a little, Frank? I don't know.
Well,
If it's not.
if they were private property, we would have to have a letter or something from an abutter before we would condition something on somebody else's property.
Yeah,
I think, to James's point, there's probably a fair amount of this going back and forth. So
I'm not saying.
I'm not too worried about that.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's their peril. They'll have to take that up with the town or whatever. My guess is there's probably already something there anyways. So, yep. Thank you, Doug, for taking a look
Sure.
at that. Brendan?
Yeah, I guess my questions have kind of been brought up, the whole idea that it looks like it goes into the right of way, and then also since we're doing this because someone else did it, when did that someone else do it? Is the neighbor. I'm curious about that. So
Yeah, and I
that's
will.
really all
Sorry
I
to
was
cut you off,
thinking.
Brendan.
Go ahead.
That's okay.
I was just going to say, I will note, I mean, we were just simply using that as an example. I mean, at the end of the day, the owners of this property just want to have an area to adequately park for their house. We were just using the next door neighbors as an example of a very similar type project.
Okay. Do we have anybody in the audience for this? So I'm James, maybe you can enlighten me a little bit. I think what Doug said makes sense, the way this lot slopes, so they're trying to create this a little bit leveler area for cars. If you look at the picture, I don't know if you can see that on the plan. Can we scroll down a little bit, Josh? So there's a couple of photographs
Up top,
up top, and
we go.
the one on the right shows, looks like when they were constructing this, they built a really long ramp that headed towards the street
From
And-
the deck.
from the deck. And
Yeah.
that ramp was used while they were bringing stuff in and out of the house and whatever, as opposed to a set of stairs. And then just to the left of it, you can see that retaining wall, which looks more like block to me, with a fence on top of it,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that looks like it. I do know from the street view Doug and I were looking at, I don't know if that's just further back on the wall and Doug and I were looking at the front of the wall closer to the street, but the street view anyway looks like it's like wooden railroad ties stacked on top of each other.
So if you look at the plan, if there's water, whether it's flowing from the river up or if it was coming across Central Ave and going down, I don't think that this little area, my concern would be that this would divert water or somehow change some flow. And I don't see that being a huge ordeal there. I think you're right. I mean, we're trying to avoid obstructions of water flow, Penny, which
Yeah.
is correct. But I think that the way this is built, it would just give them a little bit of a flatter area and less stairs to access the house, is how I perceive that. That's what they're trying to accomplish. Because in the back of the house, they got a fairly tall set of stairs
yes.
to access that. So I'm not seeing this, especially with another wall adjacent to it. It's too bad it wasn't conditioned or discussed when we had the project before us originally, but
Well, will we be giving orders on this, Jen?
Right, they would get a new set of orders. And from the street view from before the construction began, you can see the drop off.
Okay.
I'm not sure about us conditioning something in the road, though. I guess we'd have to put something in there to say they need to talk to DPW about that. Do we know how, I mean,
Kind of my concern, that I just don't want us to overstep and for them to
I
go
mean, we
and.
definitely can't condition that. Like they need to get that permission from the
Okay.
town.
Okay. Thank you.
anybody else?
I don't think so.
So I guess it would take a motion if somebody wanted to amend these orders for this, if anybody wants to do
Okay,
that.
I'll do it. I make a motion that we amend these orders of condition for Central, 347 Central Ave, I think it is.
Yeah. Okay, the motion from Penny to a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, Brendan
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Okay. So we'll have the notes about the street and whatnot.
Yeah, at our
Okay.
next, meeting, right? And then we can review it. Thank you.
Well, I don't think we need to review it. I think we can just, Jen can put that in the orders. Yeah, you,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
okay,
I can read the orders and see if I'm happy.
all right, okay.
Moving.
We want to make sure you're happy, Penny.
Yes,
50
please.
54
please,
Man Lot
yeah.
Road. On June 17th, 6 p.m., the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Richard McLary for work related to raise and rebuilding a detached garage for a single-family dwelling located at 54 Man Lot Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the virtual meetings available on the agenda posted on the website.
And James Garfield is also presenting this one.
Okay,
Yep. So again, James Garfield for the record with Morse Engineering, representing the applicant. This is a notice of intent for a raise and rebuild of a detached garage. This site's approximately 13,000 square feet in size, developed with a single family dwelling constructed in approximately 1927. Man lot roads down at the bottom of the page. For resource areas at this site, we have a bordering vegetated wetland, as well as inland bank associated with an intermittent stream. Those are shown as a dashed blue line on this plan. We have the 50 and 100-foot buffer zones to that, shown in red and green. And we're proposing to raise this existing 600 square foot, 1-story detached garage and build on the existing slab a 1.5-story garage, the exact same footprint. This building is also going to have a bathroom, which we're tying into the existing septic tank. This building's primarily intended for office use. We are not intending this to be an accessory dwelling. So that being said, we don't believe this raise and rebuild of the garage, we don't believe that it'll negatively impact the wetland as we're reusing that existing slab footprint. We proposed a 12-inch mulch sock down gradient of all proposed work, and also proposed 3 conservation markers along the edge of the existing lawn directly adjacent to that wetland. So with that, I will turn it back to the commission for questions.
thank you. Jen?
Same.
I think, James, you might have already confirmed this, but they're not doing any driveway work. It's just the garage in the same footprint.
That's correct. No driveway work. The only work that would be associated would be the septic pipe that has to connect from that garage to the septic tank. If that pipe needs to run under the driveway, that piece would just be excavated out and it would have to be repaved at least as wide as necessary to put a 4-inch PVC pipe in. And it looks like the owner and applicant has actually got his hand raised.
Okay. Jen?
Yeah, I just wanted to see if anything else was happening with the driveway.
I don't know, Penny?
I think I'm all right. Go to someone else, Frank, please. I just want to look
Brendan?
something up.
No, not too many options, so I guess it's me.
That's a good thing tonight. It makes
Yeah,
there's less discussion.
we'll whip through.
Um,
You know,
So a lot of this property is in the 50.
Right.
So this is all being done in the 50, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I'm glad that it's not getting any bigger. But the conservation markers, don't we normally want them at the 50? I mean, they're way back there. I don't know. I don't know. Is there a better place for them?
Well, we can't go through the house.
I know we can't, but that's the only thing I'm
Yeah.
really noticing on this.
I get your point. And I'm assuming, James, those are on the edge of the lawn right now. Is that why you picked that spot?
Yeah, that's exactly correct. We just put them right on the edge of the existing lawn, which in existence today isn't very large, just given the size of this site. So we figured, the wetlands essentially just straddle the back edge of the lawn. So that's where we've just put 3 of them, just as some measure of, calling that out.
Okay. Doug?
I guess I'm being the pain tonight, but that existing house is really in that easement?
Which easement are you talking about, Doug?
There's a drainage easement that goes down the property line, takes an angle and goes halfway into that.
Yeah,
garage
I believe
almost.
it is. If that, yeah, from what that plan shows. Yep.
I mean, and maybe that's not a conservation issue, but that would be awfully concerning. Do you know who owns that easement? Is that a town easement? It's drain line from a catch basin.
Yeah,
It's
I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
It's hard piped from the street. So my guess, and that's a public street.
Yes.
So my guess is that's probably a town easement.
Drainage
And
easement.
it's just a little, a new structure going up there. I mean, it's not easy to correct that situation, but if it's inside of an easement, I mean, that there's danger of the town sometime wanting to access and make use of that easement, and anything inside of it is, they can they can just take it down. So I guess I'm cautioning the owner that there's, that looks a little precarious. But as far as the conservation goes, I mean, you're building in the same exact footprint. You're not making anything worse. You're making a few things better, at least by putting out some markers there to keep any further expansion of the backyard. So I'm essentially okay with it. It just that's a little bit of a red flag for legal perspectives when you are now putting in a new structure, even though it's where there was an existing. Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
I guess it's a cautionary
Sure.
comment.
All right, thanks.
I have one of those in my yard. That's why I was very careful when
You're
I
waiting for
put
them
in a
to-
new shed. Like, yeah, they can come dig up that drain line anytime they want and replace that pipe. And anything I put in their way, it's just fodder for a bulldozer.
Fair game, huh? All right.
Oh, God.
Did we say that we have anybody in the audience or the applicants on?
Yeah,
Yes, I'll unmute him.
Sure.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rich McClary. So Doug, to your point, the garage was there first. There used to be a stream between us and the neighbors. And then my parents, who owned the property before me, worked with the town for the easement. So that's why it's a little unusual that, the garage is that close to kind of that component. The one thing I did want to highlight though is that we are going to put or plan to put an updated foundation underneath the existing garage versus using the existing flat slab, because it's I mean, it's from the 20s and it shows like it is.
So this is not going on the existing foundation. You're gonna excavate that and put a foundation in the same location. So
Exactly, yeah, because they're really, I mean, there's not much of a foundation that's underneath it as it stands.
Oh, I thought you said you're gonna use the same slab.
Yeah.
Nah, I was mistaken, Penny.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure
Okay.
that's clear, that it's
Are you
so-
going down with it? Are you making, I mean, I'm confused now. Cause most garages are just a slab.
Well, if he's gonna go with some structure above it, the building department, I mean, that's sort of old school. Today, they would require some sort of foundation.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Jake I just lost everything. Oh, Jake.
Doug or Brendan, do you want to put out any other questions on that one?
Jake, go away, honey. I lost everything. I lost the plan.
The foundation meaning like the frost wall under the slab.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it really doesn't change things. It's still the same area, same location. Just making it better.
Is
But
that
it
the
is in
stream
the
that,
exact same footprint. That's, I guess, the big thing.
And I mean, honestly, like we wanted to connect it to the house, but we were told that we couldn't make the house more non-conforming, which it would be by attaching it. So we're kind of
Right.
stuck with it. So we're trying to do something before, something catastrophic happens with it because it's pretty old.
Okay. Okay.
Brendan, did you have a question?
no, I retract my thought.
Okay. Um, we don't have anybody else, right?
I don't see anybody. So you want a motion, Frank, or do you have a question?
I'm just looking real
Okay.
quick to think if there's
Study it.
anything else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand that issue with the ZBA not allowing them to, it's too bad. It would have been nicer to connect it, but when you expand the nonconformity, so they don't really go for that, which is kind of a shame. No, I'd like to, so right now that pipes the water from the catch basins and it's flowing towards the Ellis property, right? I'm assuming you abut the Ellis property in the back. James or
Hold on.
Rich might be better to speak to that. I mean, it certainly drains back towards the wetlands here.
it's pitched from man lot back to the
gotta be
back of the
big.
property. So there's a pipe, looks like there's
It
a piece
actually-
of go
Yeah, it
ahead.
actually goes, it goes the other way. So we back up towards the wetlands, like to the L state. So the water is actually coming from behind the house, running down, well, in the spring, that stream runs through the catch basin, down Manlot Road, and then down to Countryway out to, I'm assuming the marsh is behind Countryway.
I see. So that is flowing towards man lot. I would
Yeah.
have thought it was a drain from the basin to the back of your property. So you have,
Oh, it's going the other way. Yeah.
okay.
Interesting.
And then, so that pipe, that stream or water, whatever it was put inside of a pipe from about the middle of your garage.
Exactly. Yeah, I wish they'd done the whole thing. Like it just, but yeah, that was done well after the garage was built by my parents. The garage has been there for a long time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. I think so we're where the wetlands, we're showing the wetlands line. Is that lawn extend beyond that wetlands line, or is the wetlands line also the edge of the lawn?
Again, Rich might be better off answering. The photos don't show it. I thought our survey showed the lawn going right up to that wetland, but again, Rich could probably clarify better.
Yeah, it does. It goes up, toward the stream area, the wetlands, I guess you call it.
Okay,
But the conservation markers will bring it in a little bit, Frank, not much, but a little
Right.
bit.
okay. Yeah, I don't have anything else. Anybody else for this? Anybody else want to speak to this?
No, I mean, maybe add in if they do anything with the shed that it should be moved closer. If and when that comes up as a project.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably,
that would be a good idea.
yeah.
I think what
Okay,
Jen's saying is just, yeah, that's like on the edge of that as well.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, that'll probably just go away at some point, hopefully. We'll just take it down, once we get the garage up, hopefully.
that would be ideal.
Yeah.
Okay.
all right.
Yep, I'll take a motion
I make a motion to close.
of second.
I'll second that.
Brendan, all in favor, Doug
Yes.
and Frank, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Great, thanks, everyone.
Have a good night.
Welcome.
Now where are we on to? 6 Rebecca. On June 17th, 2024, 6 PM, the Situate Conservation Commission
Easy.
will hold a wetlands hearing under chapter 131, section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and section 30700 Town of Situate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Kristen Mooney for work related to raising and rebuilding a single-family dwelling at location 6 Rebecca Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the virtual meeting is posted on the town website.
So again, James Garfield with Morse Engineering here tonight representing the applicant for this notice of intent for a raise and rebuild of a single family home. This property is approximately 2,339 square feet in size, currently developed with a single family dwelling built in approximately 1930. This site is within the 100-foot buffer to a coastal bank located across Rebecca Road, as well as a FEMA flood zone, AE elevation 15. We're proposing to demolish the existing non-compliant concrete foundation single-family dwelling. We're going to construct a new dwelling up on wooden piles to bring it into FEMA compliance. We're actually going to decrease on-site impervious areas slightly with this proposal. We've got a 12-inch mulch sock proposed around the limits of the entire property, and are also proposing 4 concrete LC6 dry well chambers beneath the proposed house to infiltrate roof runoff. We believe this will be a great improvement from what exists today. And with that, I will turn it back to the commission.
Okay, Jen?
We do have a pile plan for it. And I think there was a couple areas they were keeping some concrete or some paved area right off the road. It is that whole area is considered dune in addition to all the other resources.
Edge of pavement.
And I think those were all, I think we were happy that it's going up on piles, and usually you condition these with no lattice around the bottom.
Yep.
Okay. Brendan?
Crushed stone under.
No, I don't have any questions at the moment.
Okay. Doug?
James, you said that because there's like a lot of things that were existing there. I was looking at overhangs and porches, decks, all that kind of stuff. When you said there's a slight decrease, are you talking in the building footprint
Yeah.
itself?
Yeah.
Or there's
Jen, we actually provided, I don't know if this is the plan that we submitted
Oh.
at the end of last week, but we broke down the structure square footage is off to the right. I don't know if this version of the plan has it.
I don't
So-
remember.
The plan I have shows the existing structure at 809 and the proposed at 819. The porches on the existing were at 505 and the proposed is 482. And the decks, the existing was 121 square feet and the proposed was 60. So there's a slight increase, about 10 square feet in the dwelling. And there's a decrease of about 20 square feet on the
Okay.
porches.
Yeah.
The decks is about half the deck that was on the other one. So the total on the square footage of those is like the existing is 1435 and the proposed is 1361.
You don't eat oatmeal.
Okay, that works. Yeah, that's,
I think
thanks.
good.
Yeah, I'm good.
And Penny?
No, I'm fine. I just want to make sure that the owner understands no lattice work at all there. Because let's face it, the storms, when they come through, they come right through that area.
Okay.
That can be in the orders, right? Oh,
Yep.
Jake,
Yes, that can be in the orders. And I do want to also say they do have barrier beach on the plan as well, just so
Yeah.
all of that is mentioned.
yeah.
Brendan
Matt,
Oh,
must
hold
have,
on, we got Brendan.
must have been muted.
He's still
No, you
muted.
did. I
There he
wasn't
goes.
muted. I didn't want to interrupt.
Oh,
So I
Okay,
thought I'd raise my hand.
sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. Just a quick, so proposed loam and seed, is there going to be a lawn?
oh.
Let's see. So it looks like we've got proposed loam and seed. What's it?
I guess. Could we have something that belongs on a dune instead of a lawn?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be fine if
Grass.
we switch that.
Okay, thank
I
you.
don't, I mean,
I mean, if everyone agrees.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, at the moment, I do see that there is grass around some of the homes right there.
I'm not sure how much more you
that really
can put
grass?
in there. I mean, they're so
Yeah.
tight together.
Oh, they are.
What would you, any kind of like beach grass or something, I think it's just gonna get trampled.
I have no suggestion, but you're right. They are very close together.
James, what's gonna be the material under the house?
It said gravel, I thought.
Let's see. Crushed stone.
So instead of a fully enclosed foundation, now this is up on piers and then it has crushed stone underneath the whole house, which is positive.
Mhm.
Correct.
Okay, I'm sorry, I jumped out of line here.
Uh-huh.
Anybody in the audience?
No raised hands.
Okay, did any commission members, you want to elaborate on anything else or any other thoughts that we might, I just don't
Just-
see. Go ahead.
Well, my only question was what Penny said about no skirting. Do we, because I was asked this question about a different project recently. Not allow skirting on a barrier beach or a dune or like, I mean, what?
Well, we're trying to get away from the skirting. Most of the skirting, all this material now is PVC. And if this gets wiped out, all of that just winds up in the harbor or in the
Yeah.
marsh or something else. And we're just like, what's the point?
Yeah. So like, because I was like, you know, on Hummerock, I'm near Peggotty Beach, there's like skirting and they replace it often. And is that something we're just trying to get away
Eliminate.
from altogether?
I think so, especially in areas that are pretty vulnerable to
Yeah,
overwash or,
nothing's gonna hold up against the ocean. If it decides
Right.
to come in there, it's gonna break everything in its path. So I mean, it does make sense. And
well, sadly, the other part is we got a couple of places where we allowed skirting and then they turned and closed it all in.
yeah,
Yeah.
So it's kind of a way to avoid some of those
Say
issues,
no from the beginning.
you know?
okay.
So,
That was just for clarification for my benefit, actually. So thanks.
I mean, I just don't see where, sometimes we ask if we can get a little bit of mitigation or something else. And I think the only thing that you could look at with, or what you could look at with this one in a positive light is that there's no longer a foundation there blocking the flow of water. It's elevated. The house is in a better spot. And water can move through. So I think those are a win in my mind.
Me too.
Anybody else? Penny,
I make a motion to close.
get a second?
I second that.
Thank you, Brendan. All in favor? Doug
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Great. Thank you. Thanks. We're on to Turner Road. 181 Turner Road, right?
Temporary seawall.
181 Turner Road to 3 Rebecca Road seawall repair.
So, and on June 17th, 2024, at 6 p.m., the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws, Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of the Town of Scituate for work related to 570 linear foot cap repair and landsider overlay for existing concrete seawall. The project is intended to be temporary repairs to maintain the coastal storm protection viability of the existing concrete seawall and to provide time to design and permit full replacement of the existing seawall location, Turner Road to Rebecca Road. Scituate abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information and access the virtual meetings on the agenda posted on the website.
And we have Sean McCarthy and Jeremy Packard to present.
Okay.
Good evening,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman. Sean
Good
McCarthy.
evening,
with the
Sean.
Scituate DPW. Good evening, members of the commission. Yeah, this is a temporary repair to this seawall. This is the section of seawall that the Army Corps had been looking at for the last 10 years to make some repairs. With our recent permitting on other seawalls in town, we realized that something needs to be done with this wall more immediately while the permitting and the bidding and then the funding source become available to make full repairs for this wall. I don't want to take Jeremy's thunder because Jeremy's on our design.
No, you're doing fine, Sean.
I can let Jeremy go into a little more of the details of the project.
Thank you, Sean.
Thanks, Sean. Yeah, so Jeremy Packard with Fulth Infrastructure and Environment here on behalf of the town of Scituate for the proposed temporary seawall repairs. I'll just start off. This project has been assigned a Mass DEP file number, SE 683118. We got that late last week. It wasn't reflected on the agenda, but we do have a number. So as Sean had mentioned, this project includes a concrete overlay installed landward of the existing concrete seawall. It extends about 580 feet total from 181 Turner Road to 3 Rebecca Road. The wall was inspected in 2023, and this curved section was identified for immediate repair due to significant structural cracks, both horizontal and vertical, as well as major concrete spalling. So this section of wall, actually from Scituate Avenue to the end of Rebecca Road, a little bit larger than this temporary repair that we're talking about now, is currently being designed for full replacement and reconstruction, similar to the seawall projects that have gone on north of here. So this project is really just intended to maintain the existing level of coastal protection that we have currently for the homes and roadways and utilities landward of the wall, and really just buy time for that full replacement to make it all the way down to this section. So the proposed work on this project, this temporary repair project, proposed work includes removing the existing seawall cap, as well as any spalling on the back side of the wall, and pouring a new overlay. So it'll be a new concrete cap overlay, as well as 18 inches thick down the back side of the wall. And so that overlay extends to a depth of about 12 inches below existing grade. That comes out to about 2 to 3 feet on the northern. I guess here I usually speak north-south for this section, but I guess in this case it would be more the western end. So about 2 to 3 feet in the western end, and more like 5 feet over at that eastern end there. The existing seawall was cored. We cored the wall and performed break tests on those. Those came back with good capacity, indicating that an overlay would be feasible in this location. So the intent is really just, like I said, to remove the existing seawall cap. We'll dowel in. We'll install dowels 9 inches embedment into the existing wall. Those will extend 9 inches into the overlay on an 18 by 18 grid on this section, and then just pour the overlay over the top of it. So this repair was designed both to achieve the goals of the short-term resiliency, that's the temporary nature of it, while also minimizing impacts to resource areas. So you'll notice we don't have any waterside work at all. There's no stone involved. We're just looking to hold the line with the concrete, to allow time for us to come in with a full reconstruction. We do have construction staging areas proposed at either end of the project. That worked out pretty conveniently, actually. And those will be, we'll place erosion control. We'll have spill kits on site. No refueling. No equipment or materials seaward of the wall. All the typical construction measures that we take with these types of projects in the area. And then finally, I'll just add that the town will secure access easements from all property owners prior to construction.
Thank you. Jen?
We did get the DEP number. Weren't any real comments. We haven't had any questions from any abutters on this one in the office. And I guess my other question would be if we had any idea when this might begin.
Any
I could
ideas, Sean?
Yeah, I could let Sean speak to that as far as funding. I mean, we'll be from the engineering side, we'll be ready to go with a bid probably by the end of the summer.
Oh,
Sean, do you want to?
Yep. Let me.
Any ideas? Obviously, depend on bid prices and all that.
Yeah, well, like Jeremy said, towards the end of the summer, we'll have a construction bid set to put out. And I would assume by the time any of that gets handled, it would be after Labor Day. So it would be in the fall, I would anticipate, hopefully before the weather turns. September, the end of September, October.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Penny?
Yeah, I just kind of a curiosity question. I think it's a great project. How long? It's almost like we're gonna put a Band-Aid over the wall there that's totally falling apart, as we all know. How long would this cap last in case for some reason the actual construction gets held up for years?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we're not giving being designed to minimize the impact areas the way it has been.
Mhm.
It's certainly better than the level of protection that's there now.
Oh, I know
It's tough
that.
for us to give, and it's tough for us to give a service life on this. with given the nature of the overlay and the existing concrete that's there and the size of the storm that we're actually, may hit it. But I mean, the intent is we're going to get at least 5 minimum, as much as 10 years out of this, which we feel is enough time to come through with a full reconstruction.
Oh, I hope so. Okay, I was just curious. Thank you.
The existing concrete's been there for, almost 100 years now, right?
I know
So,
it has.
yeah,
It looks like it.
Yes.
so it could last a lot longer than that too.
Yeah,
You might have to.
yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
Okay, Doug?
No, that was very complete, so I don't have any questions. That looks good.
Thank you.
Brendan?
I have no questions. I just hope it lasts as long as it needs to.
There we go.
Agreed.
Anybody in the audience on this one?
I hate throwing money.
Did this get advertised?
Yes.
Hey, that's wonderful, Frank. Ask your questions.
No, I was actually looking through the through the booklet.
Yeah.
And when was this? This work was done. What was it? I got some details, Sean, from like 86. Did they do repair work back then?
I don't have that in front of me, but yes, that there are basically two walls. If you do walk the top of this, well, where you can,
Yeah,
it's relatively wide, and they performed probably a 1 foot on the face and the 1 foot on the back overlay, which puts the top of this wall at 5 or 6 feet wide.
got it.
So I do have plans. I don't have them with me at the moment.
That's all right. I was
just
just curious and kind of looking through this as to when. So at different times, this has been already patched up and
Yes.
refortified.
Yep.
Okay.
Mother Nature.
Um.
It's mad.
Okay. I don't have anything else, and we asked, right? There's nobody in the audience.
Nobody.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
Good luck, guys.
Either one of you guys want to second that?
I will second that. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Brendan. All in favor, Doug
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Great.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What are we on to?
91 Oceanside.
Am I opening that?
We've continued
Oh,
it, so no.
Okay.
All right, so James Garfield and Janet Bernardo is here. Also, she did the stormwater review.
Okay.
That's right. That's what we were waiting for, I think.
Yes.
So James, you want to fill us in?
Sure. So again, for the record, James Garfield with Morse Engineering. I presented this project at the last hearing, and since that time, we've actually received a peer review. We've responded to their comments. I guess notable things that might have changed on the plan since you've last seen it. We came in at the last hearing and presented this project as reusing the existing building foundation, raising up the dwelling onto a higher foundation built up. This is actually going to be a full raise and rebuild. So that piece of it is a little bit different from what was presented to you at the last hearing. Additionally, we previously proposed roof drywell chambers as a stormwater system. That's been revised to a crushed stone trench just due to high groundwater conditions, which at the recommendation of the peer review engineer has been wrapped around the left side of the building as well as the entire rear. So those were really the only changes since we've last been in front of you. And if you have any questions, I can answer them. Otherwise, I imagine we'll pass it over to the peer review engineer.
I think that would be good. Janet, if you're on.
Hi, how are you?
Good evening.
To see you guys. I can
It's a
see it.
lot simpler project than the last one we worked together on.
Yeah, yeah, this was, one of, relatively straightforward project. Originally, we did review the design for our, addition, and then it came back with a raise and rebuild as noted by the applicant, and we provided an initial letter on May 31st and our second letter on June 10th. The applicant responded to that June 10th letter, and accepted our recommendations, which included extending the trench around the, to the west side of the house. Just the calculations worked, but because it looked like it had available space, it would be a nice idea to extend that trench further, as well as add like an impermeable barrier because it is right next to the house. There's a slab, so it's not really a worry for stormwater or groundwater getting into the house, but just as a kind of a safety precaution to kind of have an impermeable barrier there. So we have reviewed their responses and are comfortable with that they have adequately addressed all of our concerns. We did have a couple of suggested conditions that you may want to consider. And one thing that has come up a few times, just maybe for my education, your stormwater regulations have a definition of gravel, and saying that gravel and compacted dirt surface roads should be considered impervious. You do have a number of driveways that are labeled as gravel driveways. So I just want to make sure that the commission is not looking at a gravel driveway as impervious, or if you are, I should understand that. We have frequently called that out as, is this considered impervious or not? And the applicants have said frequently in town, this is presented as pervious material for gravel driveways, that it's not considered compacted roadways. But I just want to kind of hear that from the commission, that that is what your intention is when it comes to gravel driveways, that they are not considered impervious. Did I say all that too fast?
No, I get what you're saying. Doug, maybe you can help us out a little bit here. So, because we've had this discussion before. And Penny and Brendan as well.
Yeah.
Jen, everybody can chime in. I guess go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, I mean, it has been a question I've had for a while, and how we see that, because there's a lot of times where applications come in and they get rid of a paved driveway and put in a gravel driveway, as and we're counting it as that it's an improvement. But technically, you look at the runoff calcs for, I think this is what Janet's saying, is that between pavement and compacted gravel, I think compacted gravel, Janet's just maybe slightly better.
Yeah, no, I think gravel is better, but you're under the stormwater regulations, and different towns look at it differently. Your definition says gravel and compacted dirt surface roads are considered impervious. So I agree that a gravel driveway is more pervious than an asphalt driveway. However, I want to make sure that you guys think the same way, and that when your definition is really talking about a dirt road compared to a dirt driveway or a gravel driveway, where it might have like one or two cars driving on it, so it's maybe not hard compacted compared to, a 200-foot road that has multiple cars going back and forth. I'm not sure, but it's your definition, so I just want to make sure that I'm following what you want the definition. Different towns say it differently, so I just want to be sure that we're understanding what your intent of the definition is.
Yeah,
So-
I've felt uncomfortable about that's the way, like, but
So I get it
go
that
ahead.
like if an old driveway that's gravel's been driven on for a long time, it's pretty compacted and it doesn't absorb much. I wouldn't think that it would be as impervious as a asphalt driveway, but it's probably pretty close. But if people are doing like a crushed stone driveway or a shell driveway or something with a crushed stone base, I can't imagine that this must have been something the planning board dreamed up.
Yes, it is.
But for the commission is more than, acceptable, it's more than acceptable for you to say a gravel driveway is not considered impervious. But I
Right.
just want to make sure that that's how you really feel. It's
But-
also fine if you want to say a gravel driveway is impervious, that's totally your call also. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
It seems to
well-
me, Doug, if I'm right or wrong though, is that there's levels of being pervious or impervious. Like it may not be the same.
Right.
I mean, pervious pavers aren't the same as having a lawn.
No.
Right.
So,
it-
so do we say that it's half impervious or is there a ratio or percentage?
Well,
Well, there's different curve numbers which have to do with the stormwater runoff. So it does have a higher curve number, which is the surface material, because it's not lawn, but so it does have a higher curve number, but it is like when you talk about recharge and water quality, those numbers reflect on an impervious value. So the house is impervious. Sometimes a patio is impervious, but the applicant can say, we're using permeable pavers. And then we can look at it and say, okay, we agree with your detail. That shows that it is pervious. We're good. But I don't want to circumvent your definition. So that's where my concern kind of comes into play.
I'm deferring to Doug rather than Brendan or Penny because I think he's got the level of experience here. Do you want to weigh in on that some more?
Well, I mean, when we run stormwater review on this, do you go ahead, do you run full curve numbers on everything that you see, like that's on site, or is it something more abbreviated than
No,
that?
there'll be a curve number for the house, which is typically 98, and there's a curve number for the grass, which is, whatever, depending on the soil, 70 something. There's a curve number for the driveway, which might be in the order of 90. Now I don't remember what they used for this particular driveway, but it's a higher number than grass. It's just not impervious.
Right.
Which
So,
is
so
appropriate.
is, yeah, so your review and the sizing of the amount of infiltration and everything is used is based on those kind of numbers.
Yes.
So it's
It-
really kind of our bylaw on, on whatever we consider impervious.
Because that's
And
what the recharge calculation is based on,
the
impervious.
recharge calculation, yes, based on that. So it seems to me like we should probably address that officially at some point and make that more clear. But I don't think there's been plenty of projects where we've encouraged people to do that, and we come in and we give them credit for
Yes.
removing paved areas. So I think we should be consistent and do that. I just think our definition is a little black and white.
Right.
Yeah. So
No, you brought this up several times and I would concur.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Well, sometimes we ask them to put down the
Pervious
Like,
pavers.
yeah, and it's like, give me a break. Those are so close together that I find a gravel driveway much better and friendlier to the environment than the pavers that are smacked against each other.
Well,
Yeah.
the paver companies and the suppliers have all come up with a lot of workshops and a lot of ways to teach the installers and have a specific design for that. So like the base of that is no longer compacted gravel. There's crushed stone, and then there's some sort of geomat, and then there's more pervious gravel or whatever they use rather than say stone dust. They use a pea stone as a way to set that. So, and then the pavers themselves have little spacers so that there is actually a decent amount of room. And then the part that they the material that they put between the pavers is now more granular, so that in effect they should work better. In layman's terms, I know that. So that's why we look for that penny, and also in a lot of the resource areas, we don't want a solid surface anymore. We don't want to see a total an asphalt or a concrete driveway,
Oh,
but
no,
we
I
are
understand. I
but
don't
we
wanna
are
see
willing
that.
to work with pavers as a solution for folks that want to have some sort of more stable or surface that's not moving around. So
Well, I just want to put my 2 cents in. I have no problem with a gravel driveway, especially it's a driveway. It isn't a road. Like she said, it isn't 200 cars a day going up and down it. Really pack. It's,
okay.
a few cars a day.
And that's something that we'd work with Jen and see if we could figure out something
Sure.
different and use the engineering as opposed to just
Yep.
winging it. I think that's the part that Doug and someone like Janet would like to see us do.
I would just, I keep thinking, gosh, am I gonna remember in, 2 years when I'm back here being like, what did you decide to about that? So,
We
yeah,
might not have
I
gotten
just,
to it yet.
I'm happy for you to just, give me what your intention is. That makes me feel more confident when I'm doing a review and not calling out on an applicant to change something.
Sure. Doug and Janet, is that something that's is there like a standard, like an engineering standard, somebody that sets that ratio for different materials or grass or something? Who puts that curve information together?
Yeah, that comes under the technical release 55, which was developed by the USDA or whoever developed it. Sorry, that number, but it is a standard engineering number and report, technical report that has all of the numbers in it. And then some towns want to specifically call out gravel as impervious, and some want to say gravel is pervious. Like everybody's different. Every town is a little different. So I've been paying a little bit more attention recently.
Appreciate it.
Do we want or do we need details to help make sure that the gravel driveway is as pervious as intended? I mean, I think the last couple we've done, we've put in the orders for it to be a crushed stone material, but I'm not sure if there's prep underneath of the driveway that matters as well.
Is that for me or for somebody else?
Be either you or Doug.
Take it, Janet.
Yeah, well, I think you can call out, because typically what they might do is excavate down, they are kind of preparing their driveway, and it's usually at the same elevate. I mean, especially a house like this where they have grass, like there's grass. So they're kind of forming their driveway. They want it to be level with the adjacent lawn. So maybe they take out 6 inches or something, and there's an existing gravel, and then they put down the crushed stone, and it's on top of native material, and most of the material in Scituate drains pretty well. So you're just putting in whatever it is, 4 inches or 6 inches of crushed stone over a native material, and that seems to work perfectly fine. There is not a detail on this plan on what the material should be. There's a lot of different options, so the applicants can call out, maybe you want the applicant to be calling out exactly what the material is, so that it's not controlled. I mean, cause some people like to have the seashells. I
Mhm.
don't know if that's something that you know, encourage or discourage, but I don't know if you want to be specifically saying what everybody has to have when there's a lot of options. But you
Yeah, I
could
think
say that they should call it out.
I think if they just specify like what the proposed gravel driveway is gonna be made of, that would be. I mean, it says gravel drive, but I mean, that, you know,
It
like
should
we
be a
just
little cut
discussed,
section
like,
and have a little more description.
yeah, with a depth, like, you
Yeah.
know, something, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to Janet's point, to build a driveway, you're gonna at least remove the loamy A layer material, and if the B's not great, you're gonna dig out part of that and have a base that's sufficient to support the driveway.
Right,
So,
right.
okay. So where does that take us for this? Is there anybody else would beat around the driveway a little bit? Have I gotten to everybody? Or I haven't. I think I
I
started.
don't think you got to Brendan.
Okay, Brendan.
I have no other comments. Right now.
Okay. Do we have anybody in the audience for this one? Can I clarify this? Zach Curlin raised his hand. Before we jump to that, I just want one clarification. So is this whole house being demolished?
Yes,
So the whole house is being torn down?
Yeah.
And then they're gonna build a new house in the footprint, but they're also doing an addition for the garage, correct?
yes.
Yeah.
They originally came in with just an addition, and now they've decided to take the whole house down and build it all up basically in the same footprint.
Okay. And do we have any details, like if this is gonna be if this is a concrete foundation? So what is the zone that this is in now?
This is the flood zone.
But are we in any kind of a barrier beach or I mean, we have
It's the
we
floodplain
have
watershed protection district.
Oceanside and then the seawall
Yeah,
to the east. And then to the west, we have some homes along with the marsh that's out and back there.
well, actually, it would, yeah, I'm sorry. I
No, go
don't
ahead.
think it's, no, I'm trying to look at I don't think it's behind this house. I think this house is on the north side of Seventh Ave. So Sixth Ave would be next. If it was on the other side of Seventh Ave, then you'd be into the marsh area between Seventh and 10th.
Okay.
Am I
Well,
correct? I think I am.
the space between 10th and 7th is a marsh.
Yes,
And that's the
Yes.
buffer zone that's called out.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha. So I guess my question, it's appropriate to have a poured foundation at this location.
I think it is, but
Do
Yeah,
they
they're
need to go to
proposing-
zoning for this one?
I don't know.
Don't
I guess
have
we're
that in
trying to,
front of me, Jen, but
because I see that it's in the floodplain and watershed, so I just don't remember when you need to file with zoning or not when you're working there.
yeah. I'll also say it's not in a barrier beach. The only resource areas applicable to this one are the buffer zone to the wetland and FEMA flood zone.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, it's closer to the street, but a lot of those houses are. So if they're average the distance from the street to the houses, the neighbors, well, it's a zoning call. It shouldn't be our call.
yeah.
But I guess the question is if they need to do anything with anybody else, do they want to close or not?
Right.
And then having said that, do you want to hear Zach's question?
Yes, he should.
Okay,
Definitely
Zach, you're
open up.
unmuted.
Hi, I guess I'm just
Hey,
curious.
just for the record, your name and address again, please, Zach.
Sure. Zach Curlin, 17 7th Ave.
Yep. Thank you.
I guess I'm just curious to hear or get some confirmation that the revisions to the system, which I guess is now a trench around two sides of the house, is as good, if not better, to mitigate water coming off of the structure and around the increased impervious area to mitigate water coming across to our property.
Sure. Janet?
Yeah,
So,
the
so Zach, so you understand, Janet is with the firm Horsley Witten, and the town engages them to review the stormwater for us. So Janet is an engineer working on behalf of the town of Scituate to review the stormwater.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Janet.
I introduced myself in the beginning. I'm sorry about that.
That's right.
The applicant is required to provide stormwater management for the additional impervious area proposed on their site. The crushed stone trench, they originally proposed a subsurface chamber system underneath to the south of the existing house, but they realized that the groundwater was too high, so they couldn't provide the separation to groundwater that they needed. So they are now proposing what will be a surface trench system, 3 feet wide, 6 inches deep, around two sides. That has the voids. The water will be able to fill into those voids and infiltrate down to groundwater. It's it meets the definition of stormwater management. It meets the storage volume that is required for a project of this size. Because groundwater is so high, they have very limited options for this house, for this property. Did that help answer your question?
I mean, I guess you're saying that this is sort of the best option that Mark and his team have for the
Yeah,
property. I guess it doesn't really answer whether it's better than the other one, but it sounds like they can't use
well,
that
the
one.
other one wouldn't have worked because it was
Yeah.
in groundwater. So it's better than the other one, than their subsurface chamber, because that one would not have functioned properly.
Okay. And I guess just sort of renewing my question from the last go around, this is sort of wholly separate from any concerns or issues if there's a major storm plus flooding from the ocean, because the flooding from the ocean is really outside of the Conservation Committee's responsibility for that.
Yeah, the possibility that waves could come over Oceanside Drive through this property, it falls within that parameter. But because it's a wave action and a tidal action, it is not something that is required to meet certain criteria. It's kind of a situation where you can't contain it, so you're not required to. They are proposing flood vents beneath their garage, and they have a foundation that they are showing where those flood vents are, so water could go underneath their house. And one of the things we requested them to do is propose additional spot grades around the surface area and like the grass, to be sure that if water was to go into those flood vents, it can also get out of the flood vents. So it needs to be able to go in and come out in the same way. So we have asked them put some more spot grades on the plan to confirm that it will come out of that slab area. And they have a plan that has the foundation on the operation and maintenance plan. There's a foundation plan that shows the flood vents.
So Zach, and maybe an answer to your question about this one, the existing house that's there now, if it flooded around that house, I don't believe that house has flood vents, and that would try to keep the water out of the basement as much as possible. That was sort of the approach a lot of folks would take with new designs. The idea is that the flood vents are there so that the balance, there's no outer pressure exerting on the foundation. Those flood vents are supposed to open and allow water, outside water, to enter the basement area. And then that equalizes it, so there's not a pressure on the outside of the foundation that might make the foundation fail. So in essence, now that basement water can flow in and out of that basement when the water comes up, which it doesn't do now. So in theory, it could actually store more of that flood water underneath that house.
No, understood.
Not that
although
anybody
that-
wants that to happen. We certainly don't
Yeah,
want it.
obviously we don't want, we wouldn't want their foundation to be damaged or anything like that. It's more the concern, which I think I mentioned the last time, which is just given the fact that the new addition is coming 20 feet closer to us, that's, 20 feet on each side, where there's now directional for that water to come that initially could have gone around the edge of their house into grassland. But it sounds like, with the trench and with the flood vents, maybe they've mitigated that enough. As I mentioned before, I've never done this before, and
Yeah.
I'm just concerned with water coming back and coming up against our foundation, or coming up against our driveway. In the last few storms that we have had some astronomically high tidal waves plus bad storms, and the street has gotten flooded pretty meaningfully in the last year, more so than in the last 3 years since we moved in. So that's why I'm asking my questions.
Yeah. And I think that by having it reviewed like this, we can feel pretty confident that you shouldn't be, at least from rainwater, you're not going to see more water flowing towards your property. They've mitigated that. As far as flooding from the ocean, that who knows?
Ocean will
All right.
do.
Yep.
Anybody else?
Okay.
I guess what's the,
Oh, but Jen had brought up the point, if this thing's gonna go before any other, like before the ZBA or anything, James, do you wanna continue this to?
The applicant has his hand raised. I'm sorry, I
Oh.
can't remember whether or not this has gone
Sure.
to ZBA, but he can probably enlighten us.
Yep, can we unmute Mark?
Yep, Mark, you are unmuted.
Just
Hi,
give
can you
us
hear
your
me?
name. Yes, sir.
Mark Frisoli. And the two questions you have, it's crushed shells is going to be in the driveway, and it went to zoning board and it passed.
Okay,
And we can close. Yes.
so you've been through the ZBA.
Yes.
Okay, so it doesn't, all right, and that's even with the new foundation. I know it's in the same footprint.
Yep.
Okay, so they were aware when you went before the ZBA that you were gonna demolish the whole house.
Yes.
Okay. All right. It looks like we got a couple more hands. Anything else, Mark, you want to add while you're on?
No, if you have any questions, I can fill you in.
That'd be helpful.
Thanks.
Can we see who the,
It's Zach again. Zach.
Okay, yep, I just unmuted him.
Mark, I just had a quick question. I thought that the plans, when they originally went through zoning, showed reusing the foundation. But if that's already been approved, then I don't have any questions on it.
so,
Nope. The new foundation was approved.
okay. So
Okay.
James, you understand the perils there if this hasn't been all squared away, if there's something that has to change, but if if everybody's in agreement that this is all set, we can close this.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, can I make a motion?
You can.
I make a motion to close.
It's Penny. I have a second.
I'll second that.
Brendan, all in favor. Doug? Doug fell asleep on us.
Doug's
No,
drinking-
no.
Thanks,
Doug
Doug.
and Jake are
And
napping.
Frank, yes, and Janet, thanks for your help on this one.
Thank you. Good to hear. You. Good to see all of you.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Janet.
Yeah.
Where are we at now? On our agenda?
62 Mordecai Lincoln.
RDA.
Did I throw that out?
No, well, the plans
Well,
are,
I have, let me know if you need a copy.
I hope I didn't already throw it out. Bear with me for 1 second. Sure. Yep, Josh is just gonna pull it up. I'll read it from the screen. Oh boy. On June 17th, 2024 at 6 p.m. the Situate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Situate Code of Bylaws for the request of a determination of applicability of the Town of Situate for construction of a gravel drive, parking, picnic area, and associated grading and landscaping at location 62 Mordecai Lincoln Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the meetings available on the agenda posted on the website. So who's
it should also say the Vista pruning.
Vista
Jen.
Pruning? Okay.
Yeah. Cause I got that into Jen.
Josh, I mean,
We have
so
James Garfield.
James,
Yeah.
you're gonna present this?
Yep. Yeah, so again, for the record, James Garfield with Morse Engineering. Here representing the applicant being the town of Scituate for an RDA associated with a public access driveway and vista pruning. This is an approximately 6-acre property recently acquired by the town of Scituate. The property's got frontage along Mordecai Lincoln Road at the bottom of the page and directly abuts the Gulf River. The property's currently developed with a historic home, carriage house, old mill, detached garage, and gravel driveway that has a looped turnaround, as well as a large area of existing lawn. The town recently constructed a looped walking path around this property, and the intent of this project is to create a gravel parking area to provide the public with access to that new path. This project's being funded by CPC. Resource areas at this site consist of bordering vegetated wetland. We show that here in blue, as well as the 50 and 100-foot BBW setbacks shown in red and green. We also have the 100 and 200-foot riverfront area lines shown here as dashed pink lines. What we're proposing is a new driveway located in the same location as that existing gravel driveway. It'll be 12 feet wide, and we're proposing to remove the existing gravel driveway looped turnaround and add an 8-car gravel parking area. This parking area will include an ADA space as well as an ADA picnic table. Vista pruning is also proposed to provide the ADA picnic table a more opened up view of the Gulf. And the large lawn area will be converted to meadow, which will only be mowed once a year. This project will have no adverse impact on the wetlands, as the driveway is located in the same spot as the existing driveway, and the parking area is only partially located within the 200-foot riverfront area within existing lawn area. So additionally, we also have a 12-inch mulch sock down gradient of the proposed work. So with that, I will pass it to the commission for any questions.
Thank you. Jen?
I know it's an RDA, but we would still ask for a couple of the same things, like to let us know before the vista pruning's done, just make sure everybody's happy with the location and what's being done. And I know he said erosion control. Is that on the plan?
Yeah, it's running along the left side of the driveway.
Okay.
Ocean barrier, yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Jen, I'd also just quickly like to note, we have a note under the vista pruning notes section of the plan that
Okay.
let's see here. It says contractor to meet and review clearing area with conservation agent prior to any cutting.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. I don't even know if I should ask Penny for any comment on this. Go ahead, Penny.
No, I really don't have a comment. You know, it's my baby. I'll give a update at the end of the meeting.
I hope you can vote impartially on this.
Oh, definitely.
Okay. Brendan?
I have a lot of questions.
Go.
No, actually, I don't have any questions. I'm sorry. I don't really.
Okay,
Good.
Doug?
No, I just was reading Super Saver commercial rectangular wheelchair accessible picnic table.
It's special.
Well, it's a mouthful, and
Yes.
I can't wait to see that. No, I don't have any questions. It looks like, is this gravel? It's a gravel, it's a new gravel driveway coming in?
It's gravel there now.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
see
gonna be,
that.
and it's gonna be a gravel. I think,
Okay, but
you know what
it looks like it's straightened out a little bit there, and yeah. Yeah, no, it looks good.
do we have anybody in the audience for this one?
No, no hands raised.
Okay.
Hurry up, Frank.
Couple of things maybe that should be on here. I know that there's already a gravel driveway going into here, but typically on a site like this where we're digging everything out, we would look for some stone, like a construction entrance, if they're gonna be removing that gravel driveway and replacing it with different material. I wonder if we need some sort of stone construction entrance while the work is taking place. I think that should probably get put on the plan. And then,
Wait a minute. Say that again, Frank.
so when you start when we do any projects that are coming off the street to
Right.
minimize dirt, debris and everything coming on to Mordecai Lincoln Road, we
Right.
would typically put an area maybe 25 or 30 feet of like a 3-inch plus crushed stone at that entrance at the time. What we want to do is minimize any sediment or anything coming onto the street. The Brooks, Bound Brooks right there. So you want to minimize that. The other thing, Penny, I don't know if, or James, did you guys talk about paving like the first 30 feet or 20 feet? On the other properties, we have
Yes, we did.
a paved entrance. I don't see that on this plan.
No, Jeff did not want to put it. He didn't think it was necessary here. Because it's already an existing driveway and level with the road. And it isn't like at the other places where you started with a brand new roadway going in, but he said no. it wasn't necessary.
But he didn't think you should be paving like the first 20 feet going in or 30 feet going in there?
No, no, he didn't. I wish he was here because yeah. No, he very, very specifically, because those were one of my questions.
Well, I think
And he
at a
said, no.
minimum, we could think about that and decide if it's, while we're looking at this right now, if we think it's okay, because we may want to tweak a few more things on this plan before it gets bid. So we could talk about that. And I think it's important to consider that being possibly allowable. So we didn't have to come back. Because you are in the 50-foot BVW. I think that's it for me. Well, I'm good. We don't have anybody else? Could I take a motion?
I make a motion for a -3.
Second,
I will second that.
all in favor, Doug
Yes.
and Frank, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
what's up next?
An update from, we got Peter Dillon to talk about some site screening locations regarding groundwater supply. I think he was just going to give us a couple words about what's going on.
Is Peter on now? I wish we could have got him off the thing earlier.
Oh, that's okay.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Where is this for? Oh, Driftway Park.
That's
No,
a
no.
separate topic.
That's actually not one of the locations. You cannot start your video because the host has stopped it. You don't want to see my beautiful face?
Did we cut you out or?
That's fine. That's fine. No problem. Don't. All right. So yeah, I'm Pete Dillon with Tetra Tech, hired by the town to do some water supply exploration, looking for a new well or well possibly. This started last year with a kind of an extensive GIS exercise looking at soil types and specifically depth to bedrock, because that's very important, as well as sites that meet the size requirement. In order to get a public water supply permitted, you need to have a regulatory setback, which is usually about 11 acres in size. Like I said, part of this was GIS. Part of it was going back and looking at old reports, old well logs. One of them by Carl Pipes, and 1975, I think it was. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm getting
We're listening.
I'm getting weird things. So anyway, we did that. We narrowed the locations to 8. And based on wetland impacts and maybe some access issues, that's been narrowed to 5. This is exploratory basically phase that we're going to start. It's my opinion that's exempt from the Wetlands Protection Act. Most places I'm going are going to be in the buffer zone, but if you look at 10.02BG, I think 2G, this activity is exempt. Now that doesn't mean that once I get going and find a site that I'm not going to be back in front of you. I'm hoping to get 2 of these to the point that I can do some additional testing. But this phase basically will be going out with a fairly small drill rig about the size of a Bobcat, rubber tired, not planning on any wetland crossings, and any tree cutting would be branches to keep from getting scratched. So most of the sites we're looking at do have little roadways through them. Or in one case at Pope's Pond, the basically the dam, I guess, or that runs along the backside of it. So we're expecting to, go anywhere from 30 to 80 feet. I'm hoping I get a couple to 80 feet. And then there'll be a short-term pumping test to evaluate yield and sampling of water quality. And then like I said, once that's done, we'll prioritize them a little bit more and depending on how DPW wants to move forward, I'll be back in front of you. For
Thank
notice.
you. Anybody have any questions for Peter?
Nope, not right now.
I think that's great. I think that we gotta keep looking for water. So,
We do.
and Peter, you're thinking you'd have some time tomorrow at the end of the day to stop in? to just-
I talked to Jen earlier and I'm gonna be there at 6 and I can go through whatever. I think there's some pictures of the rig if you want to see that but definitely the sites and kind of why.
Is it possible to do that at 6:30? I don't want to make it too late for you.
I have no problem at all. I'm in Norwell, but I'm less than 10 minutes to town hall, so.
If we could do 6:30, that would be super for me, if that works for Jen. And
That
Josh.
works.
Okay,
Works for me.
all right, great, thank you. Great,
Okay,
thank you very much.
all right, good. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Take care
Thank
all.
you. Thanks,
That was the meeting.
thank you. What is the conditions?
Well, the Driftway
Wait a
Park one real quickly.
Oh, all right, sorry, yep,
Was a resident came by. She wanted to power wash the picnic tables, the cement picnic tables at the Driftway Park and clean them up to then paint them, paint a checkerboard on them. She had a lot of other details to how she wanted to do all of this, but I guess the question was this a project we even wanted to be working with somebody on? I don't know necessarily all the things we want to do at Driftway Park, and what would we want from her to kind of, have things written down. Right now, she's only come in and spoken her ideas as to what she wants to do, if this was even something we were looking to entertain.
okay. Penny?
Well, I'd love to see them painted, but just before COVID, somebody wanted to come in and paint, and I don't know what happened there. Some kids did from the high school for their project. But I think the concrete, it'd look a lot better, but once again, you have to make sure she's using the proper type of paint and so forth and so on. So we'd have to see a lot of written stuff, but would have no problem with those being checkerboards or something up there on those
Okay.
cement picnic tables.
Brendan?
Sorry, I muted myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I could be open to it, I guess. Yeah, I would I would definitely want to see information on what was proposed, to make sure that it was going to last. Otherwise, we'll have an ugly chipping paint.
It'll be worse, yeah.
Yeah, concrete
Right.
table.
Right. Now she did ask about that. She was asking us what kind of paint we wanted, and
She's got to go to the paint store and ask them what.
Well, we'll maybe do a little more scientific than that.
Yeah, well, I hope so. Don't ask Frank and me.
Um,
I have paint in the background.
Doug?
No, it sounds like a good idea. Yeah. Same thing. Just want to get a good quality product so it doesn't chip and fall all over the place.
Yeah, make a mess.
I wonder, Jen, they're not very attractive. It was at a time they did that when I think they made, Boston City Hall too. Everything's just concrete and pretty bland, but they're pretty basic and they don't require any maintenance.
No, they don't.
And this will change that. I'm just wondering if if rather than do all of them, if we can maybe start out with one, or
See how it goes.
just see if that's something we really want to do. I mean, we're
That's a
talking
good
about
point.
all different kinds of things for that area. We have
Yeah.
to, we have to get in there and do some maintenance and some other things. It would be fun to see something a little different. I'm just, I don't know, Jen, is it worth it to schedule her on the agenda, or just maybe try to meet with her separately and just kind of,
I think it'd be nice to meet with her separately
okay, we'll
to
figure
kind
out
of
a
hear from
time.
her and then let her know what we need and sort of explain why we need it all written down so we
Yep.
can sort
Yeah.
of formally agree to it.
So maybe you could let her know that we're certainly willing to entertain it, but we'd like to quantify some things.
Have a sit down.
Okay,
Okay, will do.
thank you.
Okay. Now the orders of condition, Frank.
So before we
no,
get
wait,
before we get started, what, there's been some back and forth on the 181 Edward Foster. So we want to deal with that separately.
Yes, sir.
We were originally concerned that we had a deadline, but the applicant's willing to give us an extension on that deadline. We're concerned about some of the pieces in that, whether or not they'd hold water with DEP, and so we were hoping to work that through. I would like people's input on Edward Foster, so as we move forward to work that out, we can make sure we're on the same page. But just so if you're doing them, don't lump Edward Foster into the other ones.
Yeah, well, before that, I see one Great Rock Island. Were we supposed to do that
For an
extension?
extension, sure.
Jen, what are
Oh,
they?
yes, thank you. Right, they've yeah, so Brian Host is, I saw him on here.
He's waving his hand.
Yep, I'll unmute him, but essentially, he's looking to do an extension. We've done a couple of them, but maybe we do a 2-year extension, and then you just need to think through what would you want to do after that if a project wasn't started yet.
Okay, Brian, if you could get on, but we're at 8 o'clock, so if we could make it short, it'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Wait, and short.
Absolutely, Chairman Snow. Can you hear me?
We got
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So first of all, good evening, commissioners and agents. As Jen mentioned, this is a straightforward extension request. I apologize that I'm not in front of you this evening looking for a certificate of compliance. But
Yep.
it's been a crazy handful of years. And I'm just eager to get back on this project so that I can eventually enjoy the woods and the water there. Just to I know this has been in your system for a long time. In fact, before I was the owner of the property, but I just want to spend a moment on the history so that you know kind of where it came from and where it is. I purchased the property in 2015. The permits were in place after a developer had optioned the property, attempted to permit a subdivision. And ultimately he walked away. The family that owned it settled for a single family residential permit, listed it, and I bought it. So I extended the permits. We installed the construction. Sorry, that's corporate speak, but and this isn't a corporate project, but I had the construction access road installed, and it's a little bit different than what's on your plan. If you in the sense that we did not go in and blast everything in a clear cut. We really took our time, marked the trees, followed the natural contour of the land. And there's barely a jagged piece of rock out there, and the trees are right up to the edge of the road, and that's kind of the tone that I intend to take going forward, as best as I can to maintain the wooded feel of that island. The septic system is completely in place, so the leach field, which was down at a lower elevation off the, I guess it's the southern shoulder of the island. Is completely in place. There's no need to go back down there and do any work, which is within the 100 but not within the 50 buffer. So that work is done. The tank is up at the higher elevation. It's in the, I want to say the tank is somewhere around 40 feet of elevation up on the top plateau. And the work that remains to be done, which is literally the installation of the house and the connection to the tank, all takes place up at that higher elevation, right smack in the middle of an 8-acre property. So it's not anywhere near the buffers. And I just respectfully ask that, we recognize that there's not a shovel in the ground yet on the house. It's realistically is sort of a 2-year project to build a house there, start to finish. I respect if you can't do 3 would be better, but 2 is a race that I will attempt to undertake if that's if that's as far out as the committee can go today.
Can I interject here for a second?
Please.
So I think, from coming in with before and with your approach to this thing, I think the commission appreciates your sensitivity to that site. Ryan, I think that you've shown that all the way through, and I understand with all the different things that have been going on over the last few years with construction and COVID and all those sort of things. I personally don't have an issue pushing this out. I think it's rather let you take the time to sort it out. And just at some point, there does some deadlines with some of these issues. You want to watch your septic permits and stuff like that as well. So I'm up to any other members that want to speak to that. Penny?
Yeah, well, I just think that, I mean, am I understanding, Brian? If we give you an extension for 2 years, that doesn't mean it has to be completed wholly, but we'd like to see some action out there. That's kind of my feeling, that within the next 2 years, I'd like to see, a foundation and so forth and so on, that actually something's happening other than, I think it's great you got the road in, I think it's great you got the septic in, but it has been going on for years. So, and there's no saying that if you show us some progress in two years that, you need another year to complete it, we're going to give it to you. I think we just would like to see some action now to happen as far as the building. That's my feeling. But no, I think it's great. I want you to get going again with it. That's it, Frank. My 2 cents.
There you go. Brendan?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I guess I just hope the project starts to progress. This is, I guess, from before my time, but I'm okay with this.
Sure. Doug?
Yeah.
I'm good with that. Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah. I can appreciate people's issues with some of these things. It's gotten awful expensive to do these things, and everybody's busy, so it just takes more time to get things done. And personally, I'm not putting you under any pressure. So, Jen, do you have any comment?
No, I think I like what everybody said. So I guess just need to let me know whether you want to do, if you're good with 3 years.
3 years is good for me. Anybody else?
I'm okay with 3 years.
I'm okay with 3 years if in 3 years' time he doesn't come back for another 3 years.
No, Penny's not buying green bananas anymore, but we'll be fine with 3 years. All
But
right.
I do.
That's
Need a
all
motion. I buy is green bananas.
All
But
right.
anyway, so do
Well,
we
you're an
have to
optimist.
vote on this?
Yeah, yes, we do
Yeah.
need a motion.
Okay, I make a motion for a 3-year extension for One Great Rock Island.
All right, Penny.
I second that.
Brendan
that
second.
I'm so
Doug?
tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get rolling here.
Yes.
Doug.
I know.
Frank, yes. Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's start
Thank
with.
you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna start slowly. We're gonna kind of do these all together, except for one Edward Foster. We can have a long discussion there. I hope not. 7 homes. I make a motion to accept the orders of condition as written on 7 Home Street, 2 Ocean Ave, 7173 Glades Road, 54 Marshall Ave. I'm losing with the picture here. 19 Woodworth, is it? Lane, as written. I think I got them all.
I second that.
All in favor, Doug
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Thank you. Thanks, Penny. So I don't know how much we really want to talk about 181 tonight. I mean, Jen has a lot of things in there. There's some concern about whether some of these could actually be enforced. So what would happen is if we don't have, if some of these pieces that are in here don't meet the correct requirements, they could overrule this. That means they'd have to appeal us, and it would go on a fairly lengthy process, but then they'd be free to do what they want. Jen and I have talked about this a little bit. I know she's talked with some of you. I'm thinking that maybe it's a good idea for Jen and I to reach out to DEP and kind of go through a few of these things and see which ones we can really hold. There's some question about whether we can put within this document the previous orders or whether it has to be an enforcement. And I'd like to maybe get some input from Greg DeCesar or somebody at DEP on a couple of these things so that we know that what we have in our orders is strong. And
That's a good idea.
I like that, Frank. I just, yeah, I'd like to.
So I don't think we need to
Okay, so we can move on. from
knock
there.
these
Oh, wait a
around.
minute.
And
What's Brendan think?
Yeah,
What
I'm
are you
fine.
doing? Brendan, what's the head slip?
he just wants to go back to,
I thought his head was gonna come off there.
all right.
Okay.
Well,
Um,
it's you're good. Thank you.
mhm.
Okay,
All right. So
then we
now
have this C of Cs.
we have
on
a CFC for 1416 Old Country Way.
Yeah, is
Yeah,
that
I meant to
the
have
condos?
121. Yeah, yes. The like attached homes kind of right there off a countryway.
And we've got a letter
Yeah.
from their engineer and stuff, Jen. They're all set.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
And what was the other one?
121 Jericho Road. I think I put it on the agenda posted, but I didn't get it on the PowerPoint.
Oh, sorry, Billy. I
Well,
gotta get out of
here.
We gotta get out of here. That's not the one that has the concrete floor.
No, that's 162 Jericho.
Okay, so you're comfortable with 121?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we don't have to vote on those.
Nope.
No.
Yep.
Knock
Knock
then
yourself
we
out.
have minor modification amendment request, 8 Westgate Lane. What's
Do you know what
that?
they wanted to do
Yes.
to that, Jen?
James Garfield is here to talk about it a little bit, but basically they need to do septic work that they didn't think they needed to do originally.
Okay.
Yeah, so just a quick blurb on that, everyone.
Quick is key.
Yep. So this was raise and rebuild. We permitted through you guys, 100-foot buffer zone to a BVW as well as a riverfront area. We thought the septic system that was designed and approved by the Board of Health in 2004 had been installed. It had not. Our plan called out to tie into that. So what we're proposing is basically adding a septic repair to our plan. It's totally outside the 100-foot buffer, and it's within the 200-foot riverfront area, which brings me here tonight. But septics are exempt in terms of septic upgrades from riverfront area standards.
Okay.
I don't see it could go in too many other places. Doug?
No, I'm good with that. That sounds like a reasonable minor modification.
Yeah.
Brendan?
Sounds very reasonable.
Jen, you're
Yeah, there's the
okay?
plan.
So we're okay with this as a minor modification. We don't need to do a public hearing on it.
No.
We're accepted tonight. Okay.
Yep.
Great.
So we all accept it.
You're okay with that, Penny?
Yes. I
Awesome.
sure am.
Okay.
Now,
What's next?
enforcements.
What are we enforcing?
But just letting you know a few of, I guess, letters that have gone out. 18
Okay.
Oliver Streets in Hummerock, they redid their yard. They're filing an RDA. 31 Surfside Road, although there's a lot of work going on there, I guess they didn't have any permits with us, and they opened up a trench to connect to all their utilities. So they're also going to file with us, and then they'll put on that some other work they're planning on doing, like connecting to their generator, which will be another trench, going across the property. To 109 River Street came up last summer. They got their certificate of compliance when they finished raising their home up on piles. They then put a fence in without any permits, but I guess the issue that some of the neighbors have complained about is that the fence is in the ground, like underground.
So
So
water can't flow, right?
yeah, right. That's right. That's what has been told to us. I need to see that one, but I'm just putting it here because it's although they
We
did
have
get
some
a after the fact
pictures.
minor activity permit for the fence. Our permits for fences usually say to have an opening underneath. That's kind of what we just put on all of them.
Mhm.
And then 162 Jericho was one where they elevated the home on piles and then ended up paving underneath of it. They did get a letter. They did call back. They kind of weren't sure what to do next. They were in the process at that time of paving next door at 160 Jericho Road, where we had issued an
So they had
RDA
free asphalt, so they just took it.
It seemed like they were trying to finish underneath of it for it to be a parking spot, but I can't believe that was the intention of the site plan that was approved.
So did you tell them to get out their jackhammer or?
I said I'd let you guys know.
All right.
I'll
All right.
tell them, get out a jackhammer coming up.
All right.
Okay, so then we have the minutes of February
So
14th.
maybe some of these enforcements, Jen, will set to circle back on. We'll have all kinds of free time soon.
all kinds of free time soon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
real soon.
Oh, one other one I wanted to add to that
Oh.
is 115 Grove Street. Just want to get that on the list. Their orders have expired and they have not finished their project. I have no documentation of any plants going in anywhere on there. So I'll get that one on the list, but that was a one where the plantings were important for the neighbors and water runoff.
Yeah.
Okay.
On Grove Street, yeah. Okay, now we'll move to the minutes. I make a motion, we accept the minutes of February 14th, 2024 as written. Somebody
Anybody
else.
wanna-
I'll second that.
Second, oh, okay.
Or Doug.
Both of you. And then I can just say I'm in favor
Aye.
and we're done.
Okay,
Good.
just one very quick, you'll be real quick. Mordecai Lincoln, the conservation area is open to the public. I have.
Really?
Yes, it is open to the public. There's temporary signage there, open dawn to dusk, CPC sign is out front. You go up, there's a parking, it shows you where to park, where the parking area will be, because the driveway and the parking area won't be done until fall. But the trail is in, Ed Watton, Chris Williamson, and Howard Matthews, fabulous guys. I mean, they are just superb, and they made a beautiful trail, and all around the outside by the marsh, and the meadow is growing, great guns. We have all kinds of wildflowers growing, and there's a kayak launch. There's a sign for that, and there's a path that DPW is mowing. They are not mowing the field. It's a meadow now, but there's a path straight down. If you have a kayak, go at high tide, enjoy yourself. And then if you cannot walk in the woods, we did a small path around the outer perimeter of the meadow. So at least you could enjoy that. So Mordecai Lincoln, the conservation area is open to the public. So tell one and tell all your friends. It's a different, unique spot compared to the West End in the woods. Because you have the marsh, the Gulf, lots of wildlife. The bunnies are already hopping around in the meadows, lots of birds, lots of bees. And it's just really, really a nice spot. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks,
Good
Penny.
night.
Congratulations on all that too, by the way.
Oh, well,
Lots of hard work.
lots of hard work, long time coming, but it finally is here.
There you
And
go,
the public enjoys it.
for sure.
Okay,
That's
until we
great.
get,
Congratulations on that.
thank you. Okay, we can adjourn now if you'd like me to do that.
Really? Anybody else? How about a motion?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Anybody want to
Let's go to
second that?
Mordecai Lincoln, everybody.
I second that.
Oh,
Thank you,
one more
Brendan.
thing. Please
No, we already
come to
started.
town meeting next Monday night, water treatment plant. Bring all your friends.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
So we were up to maybe asking Doug for a vote,
Mhm.
yes.
and I'm good with that too. So we're good. Thank you very much. Thanks for all you guys bearing with us.